This thing of magistrates comes from Magna Carta, the 1200s.
1215.
There was a good idea. They said the policeman should not have the key to the jailhouse door. You can arrest somebody, but you take him directly to a magistrate and you explain yourself.
Separation of powers.
Right. And it's not because they don't trust the policeman, but they want you to feel like the policeman didn't arrest and imprison. That he can arrest, but he's going to take you to somebody else and explain himself.
And that also gives him protection.
Exactly. So in Wise County, they do that now. And the police like it.
So you've made them do that?
Yes. It kind of came about, took a long time, but they finally do that. Everybody likes it better. I never hear anyone in Wise County tell me about the police being jackbooted thugs. Just change their whole perspective. The policeman likes it better. The magistrate likes it better. Even the prosecutor likes it better. Because the magistrate throws out a lot of cases so he don't have to deal with them. But that's what they were supposed to do. But over a period of time...
Just get lazy.
I think the real problem is the legislature told the prosecutor to give advice to the judge, to the lower courts, and the police. That's a prescription for exactly the disaster we see today. You think the prosecutor's going to say to the judge, well, I think you should do this here because it will make my life a living hell. No, he's going to advise them to do things that make the prosecution flow more efficiently. And over time, we gravitate away
and
from...
now everything's plea bargain, and now they'll throw you in jail for 5 months before they even charge you, so they don't even have to make you plea bargain.
I looked at the criminal court records in the county I live in. I was looking at one of them. There's nothing in there but the indictment and the deal. You can't tell he's been arrested. You can't tell anything. In the deal, he got 457 days time served. He sat in jail 457 days before they could squeeze a deal out of him. And he could only
no judge, no jury, just you just go right to jail, and they're God.
And not even any record at the court that you exist. He can't file motions. He can't do anything. He's in a legal limbo. And that's because the magistrate doesn't send the records to the clerk. But back to the policeman. When he arrests you, he's supposed to take you to that magistrate. And according to the federal law, his only defense against an allegation of false imprisonment for failure to timely take before a magistrate is a showing of due diligence and effort to locate. When he gets in that car, cranks that car, points it toward the jail as a matter of policy, that's aggravated kidnapping by definition. He violated a law relating to his office. His acts became false imprisonment, which is, in Texas, it's called kidnapping. And he did it whilst displaying a deadly weapon. That makes it aggravated kidnapping. He took me and gave me to the jailers. They continued the kidnapping. They touched the tar baby.
They don't just exceed their authority. Now, what do you do about police now? A lot of them seem to think that they'll go ahead if you argue with them and taser you, and then they bump their chest into you, or don't even do that now, and just charge you with assaulting them. What would you do with a case like that?
That's what happened to me. And that's why they arrested me. And I was really upset when they dismissed the charges. I wanted him on the stand. On the stand, I'd elicit perjured testimony and asked that judge to have him arrested immediately. But they arrested me and took me into... First, they went into this conference room.
Finish up with what happened in Williamson County. The assault began.
Yeah, I gave him the complaint.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
And he said the complaint was insufficient. I said, well, thank you anyway, but I don't need any legal advice. And they got real excited about that and started grilling me, and I finally told them this interview's over and started to leave, and they grabbed me and threw me in a chair.
Just total third world country.
Yes. Reached for my cell phone. He grabbed my arm, twisted it, ripped my cell phone out of my hand. I told him, I need that to call 911. They said, we are 911. No, you're jackbooted thugs. I need 911. Well, by that time,
Michael
Badnarik was there. He kind of backed up in a corner. The third time...
The witness to this vampiric behavior.
Yes. The third time they threw me in the chair, the police officer had his hand on my chest, pushing me backwards. I reached up and pushed his hand off, and they arrested me for assault.
So they assault you, and if you defend yourself, you're Al-Qaeda.
Exactly.
So where's that going? They've dropped it?
They've dropped it, and I'm upset about it. The prosecuting attorney dropped the charge.
Well, I mean, what a circus behind closed doors with these crazies.
Well, they're not done yet. Actually, Deborah helped me out on this one. I went to the county attorney because they dropped the interfering with the public servant charge. And I had went to the court clerk, and there's no record with the court clerk that I was ever arrested. So I asked the prosecuting attorney, who dropped these charges? He said, well, I did. Well, how did you manage to drop them? There's no record in the court clerk they exist. Well, I dropped them in my capacity as a prosecuting attorney. I told him, well, that's all well and good, but I was hoping for something more specific, like 32.02 Code of Criminal Procedure, which says a prosecuting attorney may not dismiss a prosecution except by submission of written motion to the court of jurisdiction laying down cause for said dismissal.
Why they did it? Because for all we know, he could have been paid off to do it. You got to have a record.
Yeah, so where the heck did you get this? He said, well, a prosecution never started because I refused to take it. I said, wait a minute. I thought I spent 29 hours in your jail. And as I read the case law, a prosecution commences when a person is arrested or a criminal complaint is presented to a magistrate, which had to be for him to find probable cause. So a prosecution commenced. You dismissed it. How did you even know it existed? Because the magistrate was supposed to send the records to the court clerk. How did you know? The court clerk doesn't have them. So whoever has them in violation of 3710 Penal Code, and they're committing a felony. Have you got those records? And he looked like a cat with a feather in his mouth. And Deborah was standing behind me. Deborah, that's my co-host, Deborah Stevens. She stepped up and said, Randy, aren't you talking about the records that were supposed to go to the magistrate? And I said, yes. Well, look at that folder he's got in his hand there. Isn't that those records? And this prosecutor looked like he wanted a hole to crawl in. And she said, are any of those records in there from the magistrate? Well, yes, one of them. And Deborah shut up, stepped back. And for Deborah to stop talking abruptly, I thought that was rather strange. And I looked back at her. It wasn't until later I realized what she had done. She got the prosecutor to cop to a felony. And once she got it, she didn't pursue anymore, so he wouldn't have a chance to talk his way out of it. So I'll be filing felony tampering with a government document against the prosecutor for having my records. Let him explain.
But see, they love to have false charges and set up old ladies and young kids. They get to have some of their own sick medicine. But you're doing it within the law.
Yes. Oh, they hate this because they know I will go directly to the grand jury. Now, whether I actually get to the grand jury or not, it's not so important. Just making grand jury noises scares the bejesus out of these guys. They see their career flash before their eyes. The odds are that I'm not going to get an indictment. But who wants to play Russian roulette?
But getting back to their psychology, I don't know how they have, like, in their minds, think we're like lumps of meat and aren't humans with lives and careers and ideas and hopes and dreams. I mean, it was crazy when the New York cops took me behind there and said, we're going to say you hit one of us. And they weren't messing with me. And I said, there's a lot of cameras out there. And they go, no, we're talking about in here. And I said, do what you need to. But I said, I'm a big fish, and I'm going to sue you. You can beat the rap, but you're not going to beat the ride. And they just said, all right, tough guy. They wouldn't put me in a cell with human feces everywhere when they had other cells that were clean. But, I mean, who wants that type of power? I would be embarrassed.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not, like, mean to my employees on purpose for a personal power trip. But I guess that's who, and let's admit it, in some cases that's who wants to be a cop or a judge.
Yeah. That's part of the problem.
I mean, they really enjoy squeezing people, and I've had enough of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there that aren't that way. We just have to give them an opportunity to stand up. And it's unfortunate. The way we give them that opportunity is kick them right square in their behind. I equate that to my grandchildren. I love my grandchildren dearly. But if one of them runs out in the road, I'm fixing tan his hide.
Yeah.
And when you do this kind of thing, I suggest that people don't go file complaints in your own case. You got too much involved. If you want to find out how this works, go pick a fight or a traffic ticket. I mean, what are you going to lose at a traffic ticket? If you lose, they're going to do the same thing they would do to you anyway. So heck, there's nothing to lose. Traffic tickets are great fun. My last traffic ticket was in Bell County. I asked the bailiff to drag the judge down off the bench 3 different times. And they told the judge, get down off that bench, you're disqualified. He jumped up, clear the jury, clear the jury. It was a hoot.
What happened there?
The jury found me incredibly guilty. But I was. I told them before we told the jury panel that these guys are going to get up here, and they're going to put an officer up here, and he's going to say that he clocked me doing 80 miles an hour to 65 miles.